In this lesson, we're going to be reapplying our setup to the first and the third shot. But before we do that, there's one thing that I found out that was wrong in the second shot, and that is, if you have a look at our particles over here, and if you look at the angular velocity, you'll see that they are all very strangely pointing in almost the same direction, even though we set it to be random. And I found out that that was because I missed one part. I missed a parameter, so I set it as a float instead of as a vector when we were multiplying it. So here you can see that everything is pointing along the x-axis, and that is because over here when we set the angular velocity, even though I'm reading it as a vector, here I need to tell it to be a vector. Sometimes this doesn't work. Like you can see by default it should be overridden with the type input. Let's see, sometimes deleting this works. Let's see, this is a vector. Just do Control X, Control V. There we go, now it's a vector. We want to multiply that first, and now we do bind export. Let's set it again to be a vector, and W. Okay, and that should do it. If we have a look at it again, now this should be random. Yeah, there we go. So that was it. Let's actually disable this. Let's go back to our camera view, full screen, and I'm going to make a flipbook of this. I'm going to start also at 1001. I won't include the pre-roll. And I forgot to change the visualize node. It should be at the bottom over there. Okay, let's do it again. Let's have a look. It finished, so I'm going to hit play, and you'll see the difference is minimal, but still I just wanted to make sure that that was fixed. Now we're ready to move on to the first shot and then to the third one. Here I've opened up shot number 10, and you can see that I copied the extract transform setup from shot 20, and I also added it for the extra car. So now if we play, let's make sure we have one of these selected, and you can see it's playing real time. So that is already done. All you have to do is just go inside here, let's go back up, go inside here, and you just need to change the path. Just recache this node, and that's all. And I've also copied the bullet impact setup exactly as it is in the previous shot that we done, shot number 20. And we have the impact guide. So let's see, the first thing we have to do is go inside the bullet impact guide, and let's see how this is looking. I'm going to ghost all the other objects. Okay, and this is set in the position where it was for the second shot. The problem is that in the first shot, this is way behind. So what I'm going to do is just select all these curves. I'll press Control A to select all. Let's delete them. So right now we don't have anything. And let's see, let's go back into the shot. And I want to decide when the car is going to start shooting. So I have a rough idea based on what we planned, somewhere around here. So after the car, the idea is that the car moves, and right here it starts to go to the side. So that's because it starts to get shot. So I would say around 90. I'm going to choose maybe this frame, 93, and then in the next frames he starts to turn, right? So we're going to have all the trail of shots in here. So let's see, 93. I'm going to go back to the top view. So that is going to be our start position, and let's look at our end position. Okay, so somewhere here. And now that I can see it all in the view, I'm going to go here. Let's say 93. I'm going to press enter while our curve is selected, and I'm going to start clicking. So let's see, somewhere around maybe here. And now I'll go to the last frame, and we can let's see, let's go back. Okay, and now we can start clicking. Let's see, here, here, and then the car kind of starts to move, like it starts to drift to that side. So let's end with the curve like leaning towards that side, and we can finish like afterwards. Okay, that's going to be our last point. The idea of this, like, so what I like to do about this last point is that the shots will kind of keep going, but to the side. That's why the car moved, so we're going to see them in the distance. You'll see that with this shot, the problem that we have is that we're too close to the camera, so it's kind of hard to see all these shots. I think it will be nice to have these shots further away, so we'll have more time to actually see effects. Okay, so now that that is done, I'm going to go back to the actual effect. So let's see, let's go to the first frame. And in this case, we don't need any pre-roll because our effect is going to start at 1093. So let's see, let's start from the very top. Let's go into here. And the first thing I would like to do is the resample. I think 50 might be too much. Let's see, let's have a look, because remember this is a lot shorter. The previous shot I think was 46 frames. And here we only have about like 20 something, since we started at 96 and it goes into 114. So I'll probably say, just a safe assumption, since it's half of the frames and so it looks similar, I'm just going to go with half the amount of bullet hits. We can add a bit more or a bit less afterwards. Okay, and I think, yeah, bullet impact in where those points are might work. And as you can see, this is following the car, and as the car moves, they stay on the side. So let's see our point jitter. Okay, now I think this might be way too much. Let's see, I'm going to just reset it, and let's only worry about the scale in here. And it looked nice in the previous shot to have that much, especially since we're looking at it from the profile. But in this case, it's kind of hard for the bullets to jump that much. I'd say something like this. Something like that might work. Cool. And then, so we ray it, and then we're scattering points. So I want to turn this down. Let's go back to 1 while we're developing, right? We want to be able to iterate fast. So that's going to give us with 100,000 or 50,000 points. We're going to increase it later on. So then we have our noise. So all this should work since we're not changing the size of it. So all this should be fine. The velocity, let's see. Let's enable, so we have to create our visualizers for this scene. So let's see, marker B. It's gonna be a vector 0.2. Okay, and I think, yeah, there's no need to change them for now. I think we'll wait to see what they look like the first time, right after we do our first sim. Same with the mass and bounce. Since it worked on the other shot, it will very likely work in this one. I mean, it will work. We're just going to tweak it a bit just so that it looks better in this shot. I mean, there are different angles in this one. The camera is going a lot faster. We're going behind the car. So it's a different perspective. So we might end up changing it, but just for artistic purposes. The other big one is the animate hits. Okay, so now we probably want this to start at 1093, and let's see, the last one can hit in frame, just so we see them. Let's see, 113. That's going to give us 20 frames for 25 impacts. Yeah, almost a bit more than 1 impact per frame. So we might reduce it even more in the end. And our pop net, that's important. We need to get this to start frame 192. I like to start always a few frames before. And let's see, let's go inside here. The other thing we'll probably have to change is our ground. Remember, we were deleting the parts that we didn't need here. So in this case, if we template this, let's see, Let's hide the other objects. So our points go all the way from here to there. So let's select that area. Okay. We can go up from wireframe. Let's go back to the shot cam, into the pop net. And let's see, we have everything here, our force, our drag, everything as it was before. Okay, and I'm going to change this, just a reference. I'm not going to change where it starts, just so that we don't have to wait for the beginning. And let's see what it looks like with the actual car. So let's go here. Let's show everything. Let's hit play. Okay, I really like the beginning. I think we can end up having probably some more variation, especially I would say in this curve. If we go here, I think it might be too straight. Let's see, let's ghost it. I'm going to press enter. And let's see, we can add something like this. Okay, and the rest of it, I'm going to add it back with our point jitter. So let's go back there. Let's see. So if we increase this axis, that's going to be, so that's our x-axis. I think I want to increase actually, yeah, the sideways one, so maybe 1.5. So let's see, let's have a look. I actually want these points to kind of come into here and then leave the screen. So let's see, let's hit enter. Okay, we can move this point and this one a bit more. Okay. So as you can see, now that you have the setup, it's all really just about adjusting your parameters. That's all that's left to do. It's pretty easy from now on. So let's see, this will be our impacts. The other thing I want to check that I didn't pay that much attention was the timing. Let's actually see if these impacts are actually trailing behind our car. And it looks well when they impact, yeah, they're impacting a bit, it's going a bit too fast. So let's see, let's visualize the delete. So if we want this to be a bit more delayed, we can add here some frames. So we can say, for example, 15. That's going to make it 2 frames slower overall. Let's go back to the import, hit play. All right, I think, yeah, I think this is working. This is really just at this point just personal preference. Well, actually, now that I see it, it might be too slow, so we don't get to see like the actual impacts. Like there's not enough time for them to develop. So let's see, maybe we can have this start a frame earlier. It's already in the first frame of the simulation. And let's remove 1 frame. So I think it might be okay that it's hitting there. It's just, this gives us an extra frame for us to see the actual impact. If not, like they go off screen as is happening here when the impact hasn't even happened. Yeah, at least here we get to see a bit more. Let's see, we can even go to, let's see, back to what we had before. Yeah, I think although it's hitting it under the car, when we play it, you can't tell at real time, and it just looks better because you can see these impacts are now a lot bigger. Okay, so let's have a look at it with the actual color and the debris. And one thing that might change is I think some of this debris are now too big since we're pretty close. We'll see. Let's see what it looks like with all the amount. So let's add a huge amount. So let's go back to the scatter over here. Let's multiply this by 4, for example. So we should have how many points? 200,000. And let's have this cache. And let's look at a few of these frames. So let's see something like this. So the problem now might be that some of these pieces are now too big. So let's see, we can go here, change this to maybe 3, and this one to 0.75. Something like that. And let's see, let's have a look at a full flipbook of this. So let's go full screen, flipbook with new settings. Resolution is turned off, and let's start. Okay, the flipbook is done. Let's have a look. I think I left a flag template. I have yeah, that's why you can see the source in there. But yeah, this is starting to look cool. It will look nice when we add the second shot. So I've been saving this shot, so I'm going to actually go to File, Append Sequence. And if I go back up to class 3, actually, well, in this class I saved the preview of CRC20 since we added that last fix. So I'm just going to hit Append, and you'll see this is going to now extend. Cool, I think that works. They both look together. They both look good together in context. All right, so let's now move on to the third shot. Over here I have the third shot. So again, I copied all the cache setup. You can see we can play this in place real time. And then I also copied the bullet impacts, but this time from shot number 10. And the idea of this shot is that it's a continuation. So again, it starts with bullets already impacting. So we're going to need pre-roll. I'm just going to add 6 frames. So I'll go back to 995 like we had in shot number 20. Let's see. And then the idea is that these shots continue all the way in the ground, and eventually they start hitting the wall. So we want our curve to eventually, we want the last impact to be right next to that one, which is the first impact on the wall. So that means that probably at around 10:53 is going to be our last impact on the ground, all the way from 995. So let's go back to our bullet impact guide. Let's go to the top view. And I'm going to delete all of this. Let's see, something like that. So I want to start where the camera is. So you can see there the white dot, that's the camera. So let's see, we can start somewhere there, and let's start advancing as we go. So maybe somewhere here, here. Let's see. So here I'd like to zoom in. Let's see. Let's get rid of the last one. So I want to see where the first, okay, so there is the first impact. So we'll probably want to go with a curve following the car, somewhere like that. Okay, and press escape. And now let's go back to our bullet impact effects. And let's go here to the first part. So let's see, this time impacts. I want to have definitely more than in the previous shot, but not as many as in the first shot. Sorry, as in the second shot. I'm going to go somewhere in between, like 40, because we had 50, then 25. Let's see how 40 works. So let's see, let's ghost everything else. Let's look at the points. Okay, so that's going to be our 40 impacts. Let's see, point jitter. In this one, we probably want to, yeah, add our point jitter back up because it was pretty low, but maybe not so much on that axis. Let's see. Cool. Actually, it looks like the last impact is way over there, so that's good to know. We can just tweak that last point. Let's go to top view. The hotkey is Control 2, by the way. Okay, now let's compare now. Okay, now that was too much. Let's go back. And where's the, I want to look at the last one. Yeah, there. Let's see where it is. Okay, that makes sense. So it's going to hit there and then there. Okay, perfect. Let's go back here. So point jitter is done. Our scatter, again, let's turn it back down. Let's go to ×1. We'll increase that at the end. And let's see, the last thing we have to change is our animate hits. So in this case, we're going to be starting at 995. Usually I like to start at, I like to leave some room behind. So let's say at 96, and our last frame can be, for example, 1053. I think that's what we set. Yeah, somewhere along there. And let's see what this looks like. Yeah, and this is kind of, again, it's under the vehicle, but that's when the impact starts. I think like then in the next frame, you know, it's already behind the vehicle. So actually let's have a look. Let's see what this looks like. So let's show all. And we have to change this again to start at 995. And we have to change also the ground. So the ground in here is actually a lot bigger because we're using all this space, and we're also using that. So let's see. Let's click that. We can turn this off, and we can template our points. It's hard to see, but okay, we can see that the car starts there and it goes all the way. So maybe something like this. Okay, and I'll press enter. Okay, that's our new ground. And let's go ahead, let's go look at the DOP import. Let's show all the objects. Let's hit play. Okay, and I'm going to finish this over here. And let's see. This is our start frame. So there's already some hits going on. Yeah, I think it's a bit too fast. Let's see, I'm going to add just one extra frame. So let's see, maybe 54. We need to reset this simulation. Let's hit play. I think some of these impacts might be too high, like it might be too much for this sim. So, you know, we can reduce the velocity. Yeah, actually, it looks like it would be nice to see some of the impacts in this frame, like maybe that one. But let's see, I'm not sure. Let's look at it from flipbook. So here, start. Okay, let's hit play. And it seems actually the end is quite, I like the end. I think just the beginning is, yeah, it's not, we don't get to see enough of it in the beginning, so it looks very explosive. So actually we can, let's see, let's go here. Let's reduce a little bit. Let's set it to, for example, 82, let's say. I'm just guessing. And then let's have them start a little bit earlier as well. So 97. Let's reset it. Now let's try again. Okay, and it's done. Let's see. Yeah, actually this might work. Okay, awesome. Let's now increase our particle count. Let's see, for this one I'm going to go very high res, so let's see. If we get times 5, that's going to be 400,000 points. Okay, we can go maybe, yeah, let's see what 400,000 points gives us. Okay, let's visualize the color and save it first. And we're going to need to reset it. So while this is going, I'm actually seeing that this is changing color, and that is, and you can actually see this is turning into a bounding box. That's Houdini automatically culling pack primitives. We can actually cancel this. And if you want to turn that off, you can go here to optimize, and you can tell it to not to be distance-based pack geometry culling. Let's hit save, and I'm going to do it again. Okay, and now it's done. So let's hit play. Awesome. So let's see how it looks like if we add the previous shot. So I'm going to prepend. In this case, let's see, 20. And also let's prepend 10. So we have to change this manually ourselves. So let's see, let's go to 800. Okay, let's figure out what the first frame is. 841. Okay, let's hit play. And let's look at it in context. Awesome, so I think that's it for our bullet hits. I think the only thing that I don't like much is this frame. Or is it? These two particles. So actually this is a great example of how to delete something from a cache. So let's go ahead and do that. That's the only thing that's bothering me. So let's see what's in this frame. Yeah, that's it, 1052. And what we can do is, you never want to delete a point just by selecting it, because the point count might change. You always want to delete by ID. So what we can do is create a visualizer. It's going to be ID. And it's going to be text. And let's see, what were those 2 points? That one and that one. So here, I'm going to create a blast. And I'll say blast if the ID is equal to 30, 21, 55. So let's see, points. It's going to delete that one, and then we will say ID is equal to 30, 59, 22. Sorry, 02. Okay, and now we can place this here. And we should probably turn off the visualizer. There we go. And as you can see, now we got rid of those 2 points that were in the background. And this isn't changing, even though our point count might change, the ID doesn't. So if you always want to do any, if you ever want to delete something manually, make sure you use the ID. And that's it for our bullet hit effect. In the next lesson, we're going to move on to the wall, and we're going to take things a step further and see how to emit debris from an already animated source.